Yay, it's the Sparkle Madness. I'm Matt. That's Ben. That's Ben. That's Ben.
There.
And that's Aaron.
I'm very good at my job.
Yeah, I did that one kind of fast. A little bit faster than
You
normal.
do it very fast every week, and it keeps me on my toes.
I'm Matt. That's Ben. That's Aaron.
You stink and I don't like you.
So we're movie pack. Last week we did V for Vendetta, which was the result of a ongoing vote that we did at Indy PopCon.
That nobody from Indy PopCon watched.
Hey, you don't know that.
Yes, they did. After the fact. Yeah, we had a lot of people.
Oh, good.
Yeah, the live part of it hasn't caught on yet.
Yeah, we only do live so we don't have to edit. That's pretty much the only reason.
No, it's because we embrace the level of difficulty.
It is. It's hard.
Yeah, it's super hard.
Very hard.
And we clearly care about being perfectionists, obviously. No.
The comedy is strong with you.
But so we did a vote. It was between two Alan Moore movies, and V for Vendetta won kind of handily. It was about 125 people came over and voted on it. And that defeated this movie that we're going to do today, Watchmen.
By a pretty wide margin.
Yeah. So, Ben suggested that we would do this because, so many people actually came and voted for this one, even though it lost. So let's go ahead and do it. And given that HBO is doing a show on it coming out pretty soon.
Which we can speculate what the plot is going to be.
Yeah. So let's get to it. Go ahead, Ben.
Watchmen is a 2009 American neo-noir superhero film directed by Zack Snyder. Based on the 1986-87 DC Comics limited series of the same name by Alan Moore and Dave Gibbons. I did it. In an alternate 1985...
This is heavy, Doc.
Great Scott! Costume superheroes are part of everyday life. When one of his former comrades is murdered, mass vigilante Rorschach uncovers a plot to kill and discredit all past and present superheroes. As he reconnects with his retired associates, only one, which has true powers, Dr. Manhattan. Rorschach glimpses a far-reaching conspiracy involving their shared past and catastrophic consequences for the world's future. The film polarized fans and critics, earning 183 million worldwide, and it has a 64% on Rotten Tomatoes because we know that Rotten Tomatoes is the here-all be-all. It stinks.
That's very good. Yeah. Very good. Yeah. That 187 million. I was curious. 83. It made money. Made a decent amount.
Oh
of money.
it did. It did.
I was
I remember seeing this in
that.
theaters. I actually saw it in theaters.
I believe you and I went together.
We did?
Yeah. That's about all there is to that story.
Extremely memorable.
We held hands.
All 2 hours and 40. So for Aaron, this is like the length of it. Was it a problem for you?
No, actually,
He got the director's cut too.
Yeah, the director's cut is 20 minutes longer.
Whoa.
Yeah, I watched
And
it
the
last
ultimate
night.
cut's even longer than that.
The ultimate cut.
I prefer the director's cut myself.
I don't know if I've seen either. I just watched the normal one. I think
you missed out.
I probably did. So the other question I was going to ask before we got going, so obviously that entire plot that Ben just read, that's the movie. This is all based off of maybe one of the most famous graphic novel series.
I would say in the top 5.
Yeah. Have either of you read it?
I've read about half of it.
I just looked at the pictures.
I'm not a comic book guy through and through, but I enjoy it.
I have not, and I
some of
want
it.
to.
Okay.
I want to read it.
It's really, really good.
I like Ozymandias better in the comic book, I'll tell you that.
Yeah. Yeah, he's a little less, I don't know, Rico Suave than
He's
Who?
Rico Suave?
No. Who you like better in the comic book?
Ozymandias.
The spoilers. He's the fast guy that is. He's the
bad
one
guy.
doing the plot, the whole movie.
Oh, the smart,
With the
intelligent
liger.
guy.
Yeah. That's Ozymandias.
You did watch the movie?
Is that the actor's name?
No.
Ozymandias.
Is the name based on some Egyptian king
It's
or
like
something?
an Egyptian name. Yeah. They say it only a couple times in the movie, actually.
Oh.
So yeah. And they actually called him Ozzy a couple times.
Yeah.
Did he do a backflip?
He did probably one or two.
Cardinals.
Oh,
That's awesome.
I don't get that joke.
Nobody does.
So
Fake news.
So if you're listening or watching for the first time, we'll talk about the movie, and at the end we'll give you a number rating out of 10. I also would like to know, because we did have some disagreement at our vote, which you preferred between this and V for Vendetta.
Oh yeah.
But where would you guys like to start? To me, I wouldn't want to focus too heavily on the writing part, but like it is the big thing I think a lot of people talk about with this is even in disagreement is how faithful it is to the book. But how did you, as people who didn't read the book, how do you feel like the overall story and flow of it went?
I can see where people would have trouble with it because it's long and there's a lot to take in.
There's like 4 backstories,
right?
And like that they just kind of fit in there in the middle.
I will tell you
for each character.
The first time I saw it, I hadn't read the book, so I had no problem following it then. So
Me too. I liked it.
I mean,
The length didn't bother me at all.
No, because it's engaging, at least to
it was
us,
interesting
all the way through.
And it's a really it makes you think.
You could say it's meandering, maybe.
Yeah, but I think it's a perfect fit for a Zack Snyder kind of movie where it's just like he's all based on imagery.
And what imagery? This movie's actually pretty cool looking.
That's what I'm saying. It's all imagery.
I almost feel like the best Zack Snyder's part of like the way it looks in the cinematography and the action sequence, and it felt a little bit more restrained with the like Snyder stuff. Of, like it
wasn't 300.
It all worked to me.
Well,
in
what's
the movie.
interesting is, do we think that Zack Snyder's really good at cinematography, or is this the same case of like Game of Thrones, where you get the source material visually is so awesome that if you just copy the source material, like, are you really? You just regurgitating in the cinema?
This is even a lower bar because he has literally visuals.
Yeah, he already had the storyboards.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
like the imagery.
The storyboard's already there, and all you're doing is just
true.
making the storyboards.
But the thing is, how hard is it to recreate a storyboard like that? It could be difficult.
True.
I mean, that's kind of why I asked the question of like that. And you obviously didn't read the book, but I actually feel like the faithfulness to the original story and the visual part of it is great. Like it's awesome that he was able to capture so much of that.
The slow-mo works well into it, where you get the feel of a panel, and it has very good composition most of the time.
One of my favorite sequences, which you can kind of laugh at, but it's still kind of cool to me.
I think I know the one.
Visually, is in the jail when the door swings open and open. Like I just think, the way that they move, it's like it's so good. It's like, oh god, he's gonna get it.
Well, and then the right after that, the slow pan over to the door, like perfectly timed as they leave, and then you see the like bloody water come out, and it's kind of low to the ground.
Ooh.
There is some like
I forgot how violent this
it's
movie
gory.
is.
Oh, it's really
it's like
gory.
he didn't
with the hands.
I'm not squeamish, and parts of this movie make me scream.
The most violent part that I just don't like the most is when the girl gets her hand blown off and her calves blown off. Those are nice calves.
Yeah.
And those hands, too. When the guy comes up the elevator and tries to shoot what's his superhero name in it?
Who?
Maxwell, or whatever the hell his name is.
Maxwell?
Or Pharaoh, what's his name?
Ozymandias.
Maxwell. I don't know. He looks like a Maxwell.
I'm getting on the Google.
What's his superhero name?
Ozymandias.
I think.
He goes by his name.
I forget. I actually don't remember some of the names.
I think I
very
remember reading that he his thing is that he did not have a secret identity.
Well, so that was like, and that's one of the brilliant things from the original story
he had a mask when I watched it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he was the only one of all the heroes to reveal who his real identity was. And that's what's so great about this whole movie is like the whole story. That's what I think is the strongest part, is the source material and how they adapted it. At least from
his
the
real
visuals.
name is Adrian. Sorry.
Adrian. Yeah, that's
Adrian, that's right.
Maxwell.
That's right.
But
Maxwell Adrian.
There you go.
I like when you said it's kind of thought provoking. They did a good job in this, kind of weaving that through too, with the like kind of political stuff
and it's
into
funny,
the
and it's funny because Rorschach,
the mission.
It's funny after you watch it the second time. Oh, he's in it a bunch of times. He's there.
Oh
he's
yeah,
all over the movie.
the end is nigh guy.
What does nigh mean?
Like soon
Upon us.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like it's here.
It's like thigh, except it means imminent. Yeah. Where were we?
the one thing that they changed, which I know, man, you're familiar with, is the ending, right?
Yeah, it wasn't like a giant
They
octopus
kind of
monster.
they kind of streamlined it.
They
a little
didn't blame Dr. Manhattan at the end, did they?
in the other one.
Yeah,
I don't remember actually.
the book.
I liked how this one ended.
Yeah,
I'll just put it that way.
The way I look at it, I like it in the movie a little better because, I don't know, from a psychological standpoint, it feels like it's easier to blame something that you already know.
And so the overall plan, which I think they did a good job, like this is where the length of the movie and the backstories and throwing all that in there actually helps and doesn't compromise the kind of misdirect they're giving of
Right.
this investigate, like whodunit kind of story the whole time, that where ultimately you find out it's Adrian Maxwell who is responsible for like this kind of really interesting.
It's a pretty convoluted plan, but he did it.
It's very convoluted, but I thought it was really interesting how then they pull in because the other thing that I think was pretty successful is the Dr. Manhattan stuff, which they really could have spectacularly failed at.
Oh, yeah.
That was a high,
Especially the motion
high
capturing.
risk. Yeah.
Was that like motion capturing or like was it like
As far as I know, it was motion capture.
really? It's a good job. I thought it enhanced something that already exists because there was not that uncanny valley of the way he was talking.
No, for when it was done, it was spectacularly done.
It's still pretty
It still
good.
looks pretty good.
Yeah.
I thought it was a guy in makeup. You know.
Oh, really?
Let's see. And that's, what's the
Billy
guy's name?
Crudup.
Billy Crudup. He was not unknown at the time.
He wasn't. Every time though, he was talking about things. The world is beautiful and this priceless.
But that is one thing.
Priceless. He was in the American Express like commercials, wasn't he?
He was in some movie opposite Kevin Bacon and Brad Pitt.
Yeah, but he
that
was
I
in the
remember.
priceless commercials, right? Remember, like every time I kept hearing, it's like a bottle of Coke,
It's
two
wonderful.
packs, 2 packs of Snickers.
Oh, that's him?
Priceless.
Nuke.
Yeah, it's him. He's in the priceless.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Nuclear holocaust.
One thing I'd like to point out is that I like the cast.
He's a
because
big fish
lot
too,
of
right?
them weren't a lot of the cast relatively unknown at the time.
Yes,
I think so. Yeah.
Some of them still unknown.
So I'm gonna.
Except for the guy who's in Aquaman and the bad guy.
Who?
Yeah, Patrick Wilson.
Oh.
Like
He was.
Yeah,
shot
he
up
was-
after
he was-
this.
Before that, he was in like the Phantom of the Opera musical movie.
And he was
Yeah.
the horror movie guy.
Yeah, that's right. He was. Yeah, he's in all those.
He's not a bad actor.
No, he's pretty good.
like Annabelle movies.
He's got
now.
nice. He's got a nice shaped butt.
As evidenced by this film.
He must
Yes.
work out.
Well, so I think that's a good transition. What did you think of
I mean,
all
it's not
the
a flat butt. It's a nice.
No,
What did
please
you
go
think-
on.
What did you think of all the butts, Ben? I'm just kidding.
Of all the butts I've seen. No,
His took the cake.
okay.
I wanted to watch
Pivot,
that
Matt,
man.
pivot.
Well, I thought Billy Crudup did a great job. I think Rorschach was
movie.
I
very good.
scarcely think they could have
I
found a
actually
better guy.
disagree. I think the movie
Oh, no,
entirely hinges on the comedian, that guy,
Yeah.
and who's an awesome actor.
But
And I can't remember
think
his
Rorschach
name.
was the whole movie.
Jeffrey Dean Morgan.
I think Jeffrey Dean Morgan makes the movie.
No, what makes the movie? He does too. But I think the actor played. I know you probably don't like Rorschach, but I loved him.
Oh, he's
No,
great. No. He's amazing.
I
in
just
the movie.
said I scarcely think they could have found a better guy.
Yeah, he's perfect.
You scarcely think they
I-
couldn't. What does
he
that mean?
agrees.
Oh,
Sorry, was that
He
like
agrees with you.
was that like a quadruple negative?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it really threw me. Yeah, thank you. Oh, good. Yeah, he was perfect. He was the movie. He's only like if they didn't have him, it wouldn't be as
He
good. as
the way I see the story, he's kind of the star.
He is, and I think at the
And-
very end when he takes the mask off.
Well, just
that
like in
whole-
the-
that
just
whole
like in
thing-
the book, though,
The whole
he's-
thing when he knows his fate, it's like that's a very emotional thing because you care about him because he tries to do so much good. He's but he's just so
Misguided, but he is singular in his belief.
He is singular in his belief, and he just tries to do so much good, and he's gotten such a bad past, and he just.
Well,
Like
his flashbacks and stuff for this was
but it
great. They did a great
I
job.
think it
of
really makes you emotionally connect with him.
Yeah.
You-
Well, and
you-
it's because he's not like just like all of these characters and the way they do it in the stories. They're very three-dimensional.
Yes.
Sometimes it's like you have a lot of information about a character, but it's
Yeah.
still very high. This is like depth, like each one, and they did a good job drilling down
and all
to
the
it for
backstories
each
are
one.
so great. Like Dr. Manhattan's backstory was just like that's awesome. Even
Are
like
you
the
talking
music-
about butts again?
I'm talking about.
No, he's
His now.
talking
His
about the,
backstory.
I'm talking about penises now. Full front.
there's this big blue thing.
Yeah, yeah. Remind me of Jason Segel and Forgetting Sarah Marshall. Remember that frontal shot in that movie?
Yeah, when
That
he's
was
like,
like-
shaking it. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's great. A lot of sound effects with that too.
But his butt wasn't nearly as nice.
No. I actually think not that Patrick Wilson was bad as the owl guy. I thought he was just fine. I thought Malin Ackerman was not very good. The
girl?
Silver Spectre.
Well,
yeah.
they didn't give her. She doesn't have a lot to do.
I think they didn't. I don't know. It was almost like her dialogue was ripped straight from comics, and it felt kind of. And the same I would say for Patrick Wilson. Honestly, I didn't. Those two.
Who's Patrick Wilson?
He was the owl.
Night Owl.
Yeah,
I think he
Night
was
Owl.
more interesting because he was kind of nerdy. I think the weakest guy, and you might guys like him, was the villain. Or whatever.
Oh, no, I would
Adrian.
agree.
Oh yeah, he was pretty bad.
I think he was the worst part. I
And
think he
he's
was the
still
worst
okay.
cast. I thought it was terrible.
Yeah, I didn't
boring.
like. I would have cast somebody else.
He was like, I'm just very pretty. Was he German?
No,
I don't think
his
so.
last name in the comic is.
He had a German accent. I thought.
Did he?
Yeah.
What I want to say
I
is,
didn't think so. Okay.
I have a problem with the casting
Maybe
because
he's Austrian.
for most of the movie, he's in like this muscle suit that makes him look really buff, and then his neck is like a toothpick.
Yeah.
It looks really weird. I don't like it.
He looked like they cast him as blonde and blue. His blue eyes. He's kind of like the Aryan race. He kind of had like that. They're trying to with that a little bit.
Let me see if I can pull up a picture of him from the comic for you, Ben.
Okay.
Go on, Matt.
Yeah, he was much more of a intimidating kind of presence, or like formidable presence in the like he was almost unstoppable. Whereas in this, it was kind of like, who's this guy?
That's a large picture.
Yeah, that's real big. So I really do think though my favorite character was the comedian stuff. Like I just feel like
It was definitely the most nuanced.
especially to transition into a long movie, into a long convoluted story, into you got to introduce a lot of
Let's see, where
characters.
is it?
He was kind of the
Where's the browser? Keep going, Matt.
he was the driver of like a lot of the kind of introducing a lot of the darker elements, as well as a lot of the like cynicism with all the stuff that kind of leads to the reason for Adrian's plan and everything. You got it? You want to show it?
I'm just gonna throw it in as a source. You keep doing your thing, Matt.
Okay, you've got the camera on Ben texting.
I know, because the picture's gonna be there.
Oh, there he is. Okay.
There he
Sorry,
is,
a friend of
Ben.
mine I haven't talked to in a while.
Look at him.
I think he's handsome.
I think he looks beautiful.
Arnold Schwarzenegger in his prime would have been perfect.
He's too buff.
You're right.
His character is like fast, like really fast is part
He's
of it.
the smartest and fastest man. That's
Yes.
his thing.
I bet the women love him.
We haven't even talked about, we didn't even mention the best line.
What's the line?
I'm not locked in here with you.
Oh.
Do it as Kermit the Frog.
I'm not locked in here with you. You are locked in here with me. Then people like scream.
Dun, 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 dun. Yeah,
That's the Muppet Show.
You know,
like
the,
stuff is flying everywhere. Like
you just see the
Muppet arms flying.
the bathroom doors swinging open and closing. You just see the two guys just in the, like on the toilet. Like. So good.
I think we've got our next short.
What?
The
So
Watch Muppets.
as much as you didn't like Adrian as an actor and his performance and stuff. His plan though, and like the stuff he was talking about was still very interesting.
It
very
was
hard
Yeah.
to pull through.
What? Go ahead.
It's kind of him and it makes you have very similar to Thanos.
A little bit where he
A little bit, yeah.
he's
and
got-
like, just you're concerned about
the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few.
Yeah. It introduced a lot of
The
those
greater
things.
good.
What was something that wasn't very good about this movie?
I did feel that Night Owl and Silk Spectre didn't have the best to do in the movie, but I still think they're okay. They're just less involved and they're less deep as characters, maybe, than the others.
One of the big things that I guess was a little bit stronger in the book was how impotent Night Owl was, like, and just feeling so worthless. Like, and, he literally has erectile dysfunction, and he does in the movie too. But like, he's so, like, just feels like a nothing and so inferior compared to everybody else. And
Yeah,
then
they only kind of touch on it.
and she has so much more baggage with her mom, and with her relationship with Dr. Manhattan felt much more at odds and like more
Yeah, the movie
personally like driven. Yeah, go ahead.
Silk Spectre and Dr. Manhattan just kind of felt tacked on as a relationship in the movie, kind of.
Yeah, like he didn't. That little love triangle. None of the branches felt very.
Yeah, in the movie, it was more like, oh, by the way, we're dating now.
This is happening. Yeah. So that was one part. I agree. Yeah.
Could have been expounded upon. But then the movie would be 4 hours long. So you got to cut somewhere.
Yeah. Ben, anything stand out as not super great?
I don't have the Jeopardy music.
I don't think. I don't know. I thought it was. Other than Adrian, I didn't like him. I really just didn't like him.
There's not much else really that I zero in on.
I think that was the biggest thing.
What was one of the, I guess, then better action sequences, or better sequences that stands out?
I think there's one that you didn't see.
Okay.
In the director's cut, it's where the punks break into the first Night Owl's place and kill him.
Yeah, I saw that, but it was out of place.
Yeah, that was in the book too.
Yeah, it was out of place though in the movie. It was just.
Should they have put it somewhere else, or just not at all?
They didn't thread it right.
Maybe so, but still, the scene itself is a standout. I would say.
Yeah, because he's visualizing in the scene.
He's having old man flashbacks.
Yeah, he's visualizing. He's actually
getting beat up, but he's envisioning.
But he's envisioning fighting like the old bad guys.
Cool. That's a cool scene.
Which is like.
It harkens back to the opening sequences, which I'm surprised we still haven't touched on.
Oh, that was great.
That's probably the best part of the movie.
The credit,
opening credits. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that was really cool.
That's 10 out of 10 right there.
A change.
I mean, it's good enough.
Music,
that,
perfect. Yeah.
What do you think of Zack Snyder in terms of, because he does that a lot?
What?
Like mashes up images,
music
with,
videos,
like, music. Yeah, like with like pop.
I think done right, it's very powerful.
Oh yeah, it could definitely.
But do you think
work.
it's too cliche? Like, do you think he really thinks these are like? He's just like, will this work?
Well, it's hard to say because sometimes cliche is okay.
In this case, I wouldn't say it's cliche.
No,
like
but
that song
yeah.
is perfect for this movie.
Yeah.
Like
I would
time
say,
period wise, content wise.
Ben, I agree with you.
It works.
He was definitely playing with fire.
He was, and like Hallelujah was a good one too. When he was him and the Night Owl.
We didn't even talk about Nixon. Nixon was bad.
Oh, what a crook. Terrible. Terrible.
I thought they're.
I feel like the Boss Nass from Star Wars Phantom Menace.
He's sent to be punished.
Now I sound like the duck from Toy Story. Remember the like.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
It's an awful
That's the sound you make before you die.
Wow. Oh yeah. So here's I just found the note for something I liked about Night Owls. So obviously I liked how they set it up at the transit. What was so great about the credits was it led into the transition of the time passing and where we started from and these old characters into like the new ones. That then very early on when he leaves and talks about when Night Owl leaves and was just talking with original Night Owl. There's that sign that says like, we fix them, obsolete models are a specialty. Like, and he just walks by it. Mm-hmm. There were a lot of little details like that I don't know if those were straight from the book or not, but like even in how they shot some things, I do think this is one of Zack Snyder's better movies in terms of his and maybe
in terms of the whole package.
Maybe it's because he has like really good source, or I don't know,
source material.
Yeah,
maybe he's a good adopter.
Yeah,
he's like a what do you call it? What's his name? I can't remember the name. I'm going to look it up now because I don't want to.
So, what was Alan Moore's big gripe? And fans' big gripe about this movie, why they didn't like it.
He first and foremost thought that Watchmen shouldn't be a movie.
Okay.
Because he felt that it wouldn't work as a movie.
So it's kind of what J.R.R. Tolkien thought about Walt Disney. Please don't touch my...
Yeah, just leave it alone. My work is perfect. I'm so great.
I think fans are more... Gracious. I think fans are more disappointed in... like, it comes across more as, to them, like a... Zack Snyder just made a cool movie, and he didn't care about the characters. Like he didn't, like they feel like he didn't give enough attention to the human element and grittiness that comes in the book. I think that would. I'm speculating. I'm not on that side of it, so
Okay, I got it. He's a lot like a Frank Darabont, where he's a master of adaptation. You know Frank Darabont?
I do not.
Shawshank Redemption, The Mist. He did a lot of Stephen King. He did The Green Mile, if I remember correctly. And he was part of the first season, or first and second seasons of The Walking Dead.
Wow.
I feel like you're not playing along very well right now.
I'm sorry.
And it's making me sad.
I'm sorry.
We'll hug it out later. Go on, Matt.
Nobody loves him.
I think this is as good a place as any. Is there anything else about Watchmen, I guess, before we get into...
I forgot when I first watched it, but
I forgot the name of the Watchman. It was like a watch guy that works on clocks. I thought it was like Watchman.
Like,
looking around because Dr. Manhattan's ability. So his powers is interesting. He's like in the DC multiverse now as the most powerful entity in the multiverse.
how boring.
I know, right? but he's ominous. People don't know what it is, but you can kind of guess that it's him. But the concept, the metaphysics, the physics around it are interesting. Where he wasn't killed. Basically, the thing that makes up the cells to hold us together was destroyed. So and I guess in the comic book, there's just words with him, point of view, when he's nothing and trying to make the body.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think I want to read that. I think that's interesting. Where it's like he's constructing this, but the idea is like it's a play on the metaphysical of like our reality. Are we?
Are you actually yourself?
Are
or
we ourselves? Are we like something that this is the vessel? What is us? You know what I mean? Like the human
you're
question.
talking about like the spirit.
Just that. Like just his concept is interesting.
Is it even appropriate to call it spirit?
Yeah.
We don't know.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of metaphysical things that are interesting about him, especially that I think are interesting.
I don't know if
Very science.
Dr. Manhattan himself is that interesting as he's written. He's fine, but he poses the right questions to make him interesting. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. And he's still not perfect because he can't. Technically, he's not even there. Time doesn't exist. It's still hard to explain him. You know?
And I think that's what makes him work, is they don't try to explain everything.
No, but they do. His abilities are interesting.
Well, and that's what.
And it's like, and also like he kills everybody. Why can't he do something different? Like he can like,
Because he doesn't care.
but all the Vietnamese, like he could have done something. Like he could have ended without killing anybody. You know what I mean too? He could have sent Rorschach in a planet, somewhere, teleport him somewhere.
Yeah.
Away from everything. But
Could have made him his own Rorschach planet.
Then instead he kills him.
That's constantly
Can we
shifting.
talk about that scene real quick? Like how I thought that was the most that was the movie for me.
What? Which scene?
The very end when Rorschach gets killed.
Oh,
Right.
Yeah.
Because it's so powerful. Because
and that's
like,
what it,
when he
they
takes
did
off his
such
mask,
a good job building
and
it up.
Yeah, and they build up and his talking and how like you really feel for Rorschach. You really are connected to him and attached to him because you really like him, and especially when they set up when he saw the girl that guy burned the little girl at the beginning. Like he's really good. Like he's really, really good. He does good things, and he has, even though he treats like he became Rorschach, he had to treat like it's almost like he's the Jack Bauer of superheroes. It's true. It's like he's gonna be. He's kind of a mix between a Batman, even though the owl looks like Batman and kind of a Batman character.
He's got the gadgets, but he doesn't have much else.
As a detective and as intense. He's got a Batman.
Well, it's almost like a distillation of the bat. Like he's the dark part of, because they were a team. The two of them
Right.
were like a team. So
And this could say it was on purpose.
This is pre Justice League and all that stuff, and you can tell Zack Snyder was like auditioning, trying to. I want to do Batman and Superman.
yeah, yeah. Well, and the gritty part. Yeah, go ahead.
The gritty part, as you mentioned, is one of the things I appreciate most about this movie, because I'm not the biggest fan of superhero movies.
No,
What?
Big surprise.
Wow.
I enjoy how this movie handles superheroes in general, because it shows you the not so flowery side of things. Like when people are fighting, it actually hurts. You can't just beat on each other for hours and then be fine.
And you know what scene I loved? It was pretty funny now that I watched it a second time. Maybe it's the third time I watched it. Was like when they're walking in the alley and they get attacked by those guys, and they kill them all and beat them up, and they're like, well, I'm gonna change my plans. Like I'm just gonna walk away. It's like I'll see you tomorrow. It was kind of like that. Like it was really like they were really intense, and they realized it was intense, but it was like,
Well, yeah, to them it's business as usual. That's
it's
what
no
they
big
like.
deal. Yeah.
But the point is, they ruined those guys. Those guys are dead.
And I forgot about the cell scene when they hack the guy's arms off.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
I was like, oh,
literally
God.
hacksaw it off.
See, this movie doesn't. I wouldn't say. I don't know if other movies glorify violence, but they treat it like it's this fun thing to do. In this movie, it's really not fun.
No, and like the whole man, even like this, the way they did when he's in jail and throws the grease all over him, the hot grease.
Very, very hard to watch.
It was so realistic, the way he screamed. And so what I didn't understand is like, so the guy dies, that guy dies, and then now the prison's a mess.
What do you mean?
Like how did the inmates get out? And throw away?
It came on kind of abruptly.
I don't even know how
it's
it
like,
happened.
there's a prison break going right
Yeah.
now. I guess just
Yeah.
okay. I'm guessing there was like some straight line of dialogue where they're like, yeah, we're gonna have a prison break tomorrow.
And
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
like okay.
Well, it's on the books. I better pencil that in.
It's on the calendar.
And I love how like everybody there, Rorschach put in prison, and like it didn't matter. Like you weren't worried about him.
Yeah.
you really weren't. And I love the line when they go like, remember that guy who wanted to get beat up, like that masochist who wanted to get beat up, and like I said no and kept going away, but he did it to Rorschach once. What happened? Oh, he threw him down an elevator shaft. They're like. Why? I don't think we should laugh at that. He threw it down an elevator shaft.
Oh yeah.
That was funny.
The final take before the rating for me. The other big thing I like about this movie is the opening because it sidesteps a lot of long-winded exposition in a very short amount of time, and it gives you everything you need to know.
Yes.
Yes.
So before we get to ours, we've got one comment. We've got one comment here from Evelyn who says it's been a long time I've seen this, and despite the fact that I never read or knew anything about it, I really like this movie. So where do we fall? Who wants to go first?
I really like this movie
Rating?
too.
You really like this movie? Yeah. Well, out of 10, go.
At least a 7.
Yeah.
At least a 7. Yeah, I really enjoyed this movie. Like it wasn't a chore to watch it.
Okay. Aaron?
It's a completely different feel than V for Vendetta. Completely
Well,
different movies.
so go ahead. Which one would you? I forget what. I think you said 8. I think you were on the 8 train last week.
No, he said 7, I believe.
I did.
I think you both gave it 7s, and I gave it a 6.
I definitely gave it an 8. I know that.
What?
Yeah, definitely was an 8.
Definitely.
Gave
Well,
V for
I,
Vendetta an 8. V for Vendetta.
I think I like them both kind of the same, but differently. Like one, they're not comparable.
The real question is, if you had a Sunday afternoon and you had to turn a movie on and you had these two, which one would you put in?
I'll probably watch Watchmen again because there's so much. There's more.
There's a lot to take in.
There's a lot to take in, and I think V for Vendetta is a better movie probably because it's focused on V and Evie.
It's a little bit. Yeah.
It's more. There's not as many characters. I think as a story, this seems more interesting because there's a lot of science fiction element, there's superhero elements, and there's a lot of satire that's interesting in a lot of things he's trying to tell.
Yeah.
That's a good way to put it, Ben.
And it's just he creates an interesting world in this.
Aaron, do you want to go next or
Well,
me go?
I have a very similar opinion to Ben. I would give this movie a 7 out of 10. I would say that V for Vendetta is the more better crafted movie. It's more focused, like you said, but Watchmen is rougher, but more nuanced to the palate to me.
So I have a question about V. I never read that one either. I don't. I should start reading. But are the panels like almost the same, or there was more liberty in V's with,
No,
with the cinematography?
Oh, you mean like the translation?
How much
like, so
liberty
like
did
Zack
they
Snyder
take?
is like, oh, it's almost the graphic novel, whereas V for Vendetta, I don't know what it looked like. Where there's more.
No, I think it was a little bit more. It was a little bit different because they changed the story a little bit.
They did.
They changed the story more for V.
So V for Vendetta works as a movie better. I mean,
Probably.
So there was more liberties in V.
yes,
Basically.
they adapted it for the film
Okay.
more because
So
they
it-
were like they changed.
and
They
it-
added the TV on. And it's more George Bush commentary.
It could have
stuff.
been. Well, they could have done it for V. V could have been something that they improved upon. Where this is like, we got to make this as.
So that's exactly where my rating comes from. I would give it like a high 6 for me, and that's based on I love the story so much, and that's all. It's all from the which is fine.
And Rorschach, man.
And
Very good.
I liked the comedian too, like I
Yeah.
said. But those two, for
joke.
me, I really like the like tighter character stuff that I can latch onto. Whereas this was just like a overall kind of
This was like a smorgasbord.
yeah. It's like this long thing that is a great like you get through each moment is kind of interesting. You get to the end, it's a really good payoff.
Conceptually, it's more interesting.
Yeah, and it's really well shot. There's a lot of things to like about it. I mean, but it doesn't tip into that like both worlds part that I liked so much about V for Vendetta, where I like really liked the character stuff and I also really liked the overall story
Well,
stuff.
to me, it reminded me of a better like the noir part, and like especially Rorschach's part reminded me a little bit of Sin City, but better. Sin City was okay.
Yeah.
I thought Sin City was pretty great.
Yeah,
That's just me though.
I did too, but I thought this was this felt bigger.
Of course it did. Yes.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Absolutely.
It's a much bigger world.
Yeah, but
I mean,
like
yeah,
the,
you can
yeah,
tell.
yeah.
All right, I don't know what we're doing next week.
Yeah, we're
but,
still hatching a
we're
plan on
still
that.
Sin
trying-
City.
We'll probably do something because Ben won't be here. We'll do something that you don't care to watch.
Harry and Henderson's 2. No, there's no Harry. It's a TV series.
That's my Harry too. That's also my Harry.
That's my.
That's the Adam Sandler. That's my boy.
Harry and Henderson's
That's my
2.
hair.
Don't sit. Nobody gets it.
No, I'm sorry.
But yeah, anyway, thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Hopefully, we did both movies that we voted on. And in general, we don't let everybody vote. But if you would like to vote in the future, be a patron on Patreon
All right,
for us.
here we go.
Here we go.
Are we closing out?
Yeah,
we doing
we're
that?
done.
Watchmen. Yeah, Watchmen.
I thought it was Rorschach.
Oh, you're right. Rorschach. Yeah, Rorschach.